Thank you, and I'm so sorry that is such a cacophonous noise that I make. Good morning, and welcome to the Executive Board meeting of the Northwest Indiana Regional Planning Commission. And I do ask you to stand. I've invited Commissioner Kyle to basically lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I thank you, Commissioner. I thank everyone for being here. You may be seated. As is our custom, we would like to have everybody sort of know everybody. It's good to go around the table and around the room. So I will begin, and then we will go to my immediate left. I am Michael Griffin. I'm the Clerk Treasurer for the Town of Highland, and I am proud to be serving this year as Chairman of the full Commission. Madam Mayor.
Okay. Well,
Just say you know.
I'm Karen Freeman Wilson, Mayor of the City of Gary.
I am Diane Knoll, Clerk Treasurer for the Town of Wanata.
Jim Towchester, Town Council, past chair.
Greg Stinson, Board of Town Council. Justin Keel, Cross Town Council President.
Christine Sid, Lake County Council.
Bob Carnahan, Cedar Lake Town Council.
Will Fowler, Town of Lowell. George Tobble, trustee, Union Township, Board of County.
Dave Schaefer, Clerk Treasurer for the Town of Munster and past chair of Mercy.
Bill Emerson, Lake County Surveyor.
Mary Moore, Mercy staff.
Tom Turner, Marion.
Can we begin with staff in the back row? I'm in the front row, I beg your pardon.
Alan Hanson, Mercy staff.
Next.
Mike DeCoulin, Sea Orbit Group.
Welcome.
Jim Nowacki, resident of Gary.
Lynch Barlow, the Mercy staff.
Celia Morano, resident of Gary.
James Gill, Town.
Tim Zorn, Coastal Union.
Chris Murphy, Structure Point.
Kathy Luther, Herbsy staff.
Bill McCall, Mutual Strategies.
Down Oliphant, Pittsburgh Engineering.
Steve Cesare, Herbsy staff. Nick Markinek, our QAW LaPorte. Scott Weber, Herbsy staff.
Jeff Hewitt, Town Sheriff.
Justin Mott with U.S. Senator Joe Downey's office.
Tom Sillage, over trustee.
Jody
Next, Jody.
Mercy.
And behind him is? Welcome to all of you. It's good to have you here. And I'm also reliably advised that by way of telephone connection, Mary Enright from INDOT, or the Indiana Department of Transportation, is with us. Ms. Enright, are you with us?
I am.
Good to have you here. Thank
I'm
you.
here.
If not
Thank
in
you.
body, in spirit. Before you, members of the Executive Board, you have both the minutes of January 19, 2017 for our full commission meeting and the minutes of February 16, 2017 for the Executive Board meeting. If people need a moment to sort of give a cursory review.
I received them electronically, and I move we pass the minutes as submitted.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes as distributed. Is there any discussion on that? As many as in favor of the approval of the motion say aye. Aye. As many opposed say no. The ayes have it. The minutes are adopted. I thank you. I believe I have a chair's report in here, and it begins on page what? Just the handout. Oh, thank you. The chair's report is, it's my pleasure to tell you that all of the assignments now have been finalized for committee assignments for everyone. As was reported at our last meeting, except for the TPC largely, we basically wanted to try to keep the composition of all of the meetings, all of the board and committee assignments as they were before, and that's still largely true. For the newest appointees to the full commission, we made some assignments on your behalf. Pursuant to those who replied, we tried to honor your request, but many of the new people did not reply, so I got to place them where I thought their gifts and skills would be best suited. And largely TPC is unchanged. We did add some representation there to make sure that persons who have who either operate or have a larger stake in transit operations have a seat at the table as well. So, Ty, thank you. The executive director is going around passing out the assignment, so it'll look like this. So it should be available for everybody. If there is a question, or if some of you hope that you could get an additional assignment, please see me after the meeting. I'll be very happy to talk to you about it, and if possible, make the accommodation. All right. That concludes my report for today, so I'm going to recognize now the Executive Director, the Venerable Mr. Warner, to give his report.
Good morning. Just several things. First of all, we've discussed in this group often the MPO, call it consolidation rule, that was made final at the end of the last administration, and the opposition that has been almost unanimous across the country. I'm happy to say two fronts. First of all, I was thankful that Justin Mount is here from Senator Donnelly's office. As we mentioned before, we had conversations with all of our legislative representatives. We were in D.C. recently for the National Association of Regional Councils meeting, and this is one of the topics we discussed. And very happily out of that, a bipartisan effort came out with two bills to repeal or rescind that rule. Senate Bill 496 was signed onto jointly by Todd Young, Senator Todd Young in Indiana, and was put forward by Senator Tammy Duckworth in Illinois, and then there were other signatories as well. From what I understand, that flew out of the Senate in near record speed through a process of just unanimous consent, and so that passed out of the Senate with no issue. The mirror bill in the House, which was from Congressman Lipinski in Illinois, was signed onto in a bipartisan way by Congresswoman Jackie Walorski in Indiana. And now, last check this morning, it's now gained 21 co-sponsors. So I think it's looking pretty good for that. The hope for that is to have that on what I understand is the suspension calendar, so that can be approved. I think it takes a 2/3 vote of the House, but it's for non-controversial bills. So assuming that the House reacts the same way, we're on much better footing than we were when that rule was made final at the end of last year. And again, the repercussions of this rule in the worst case scenario require a merger of NERC with CMAP and SewerPAC, which is the Southeastern Wisconsin MPO. So I think we're very good for that, and I want to thank the delegation that went to NARC and had those conversations with our legislators, and that's very good news for that.
Is the House bill the same number as the Senate bill?
House Bill, sorry, thank you for asking, I forgot to say that. House Bill 1346, 1346. Getting a little dyslexic on this one. House Bill 1346. So if you feel so inspired to do anything you'd like to do to indicate your support for that bill, that's where it lies right now, is in the House. It's been forwarded to the House Transportation and Infrastructure Committee.
Is there anything further?
Yes, just a couple more things. Thanks to Mayor Freeman Wilson and her eagle eye this morning, pointed out the President's budget was released this morning, so it's too early to do a full analysis, but just by the quick scan between finance and personnel in here and this meeting, some quick highlights. And again, as we all know, this is in some ways a first salvo. Obviously, Congress approves the budget, so this is not a final, but it does indicate what is being proposed that would affect the things that NERC is involved in. And just by my quick scan this morning, USDOT has proposed for a 13%, that's Department of Transportation, 13% decrease, or about $2.4 billion less in funding. Interstate service of Amtrak is proposed to be eliminated, if I read this correctly. The Northeast Corridor, which is their only profitable service, is still intact, but eliminates funding for Amtrak. Also proposes limiting funding for New Starts, which is going to be very significant to MICD and the South Shore line. That's the program that's related to. And also eliminates the Tiger program. So as I'll use Mayor Freeman Wilson's line this morning, sorry to give you the cheery news this morning, but that's again this first salvo in the budget. That's for Department of Transportation. The other three areas that I looked up quickly, for the Department of Interior, as we've discussed in the past, we have Mark Bowman here from the Field Museum, which we presented on the movement for a National Heritage Area designation. National Heritage Areas are proposed to be eliminated altogether for the Department of Interior. The Environmental Protection Agency, we knew, of course, in the news that this was a target. I can see a 31% decrease in funding for EPA. And then the Economic Development Administration is proposed to be cut altogether, so no EDA whatsoever. We've been, of course, trying to get that Economic Development District designation or applications in. We haven't still been able to receive that, but they keep telling us it's in the pipeline. So again, we'll see where this all goes, but that's the
I have a question. Is this the 2017 proposed budget or the 2018?
2018.
2018.
Just because we only have a budget till April 28th. I'm
Right.
continuing this
We
line.
don't technically even have a budget, we just
Right.
have permission to spend, it's going to run out. Well, perhaps we're looking in the wrong place. Maybe all of the infrastructure money is just husbanded in the defense budget, and that's where we should look, and that's where some of the increase was. After all, the Eisenhower Highway Act was called the National Defense and Highway Act, so perhaps we can live
That
at
is
home.
That is absolutely true.
Anything further?
Just all that to say, we'll of course be looking at that in more detail, and of course, between our legislative committee and others, figuring out how to best respond to this at this point. But that's from the quick read this morning. Two more quick things. First of all, I need to give a caveat before saying this. I certainly don't want to appear to be favoring either of our press that are in attendance. If the Post Tribune offered the same thing, I would make an announcement about this just as much as I'm going to do about the Times. So nothing and no favoritism trying to be shown here, but Bob Heiss, the editor of the Times, has asked me to communicate to you that they have created a corner, what they're going to call Government Corner of the Times, with a very simple web interface that I told him I would send out the link to you all following the meeting, which is a very simple input. What he'd like to provide is an opportunity to showcase what's happening in your community. It's a very simple web form that you just type in the community and who you are and some great things that have happened in your community, and then that'll get, I think it's intended to be monthly. I'm not sure of his exact publication schedule, but he's offering that. So be expecting to follow up for a link. And then finally, just want to draw your attention, as you saw when you came in, we've offered this space to Portage High School at their request for the showing of student art. So that's been out there. They had a little reception out there not too long ago, and I think it's coming down relatively soon. But I think they have appreciated having that out there, and I think they've asked to continue that in the future. So that's what all that miscellaneous artwork was in the lobby. So.
I like that very much. Thank you for that consent. I think that was wise. I think the art can elevate the spirit. I appreciate that very much. Are there any questions of the executive director by members of the committee? All right, thank you for that report very much. I'm honored to now present to you Karen Freeman Wilson, who chairs, in her role as our treasurer, the Finance and Personnel Committee. Please present.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and we start our recommendations from the Finance and Personnel Committee. We met this morning prior to this meeting, and some of these recommendations, actually E&F, are from the last meeting, but we start our recommendations on page 14. The first is actually a February 16th recommendation as well, and it involves the Deep River Burns Waterway Watershed Initiative cost share program, and this is a cost share between NERC and this gives us an opportunity to appropriate that money. The Indiana Department of Environmental Management actually identifies the areas, and then we do a 50-50 cost sharing for those communities that are along this catch basin. So the second part of the procurement recommendation is for 2 vehicles that should be replaced by the port. Again, cost sharing with 80% of the FTA money and 20% of the local money which is available. So the recommendation is that the 2 vehicle replacements would not exceed $145,219 in federal funds. And by the way, those are propane fuel replacement vehicles for the port transport. So is there a motion on those 2 procurement recommendations?
So moved. Second.
It's been moved and seconded to authorize the and approve the procurement recommendations styled in our packet as number 1703. Is there any discussion on the procurement recommendations beyond the presentation of the chair of the committee? Hearing none, as many as in favor of approving the procurement, say yes. As many opposed, say no. The yeses have it, procurements are approved. Thank you, Madam Chair. Please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The second item is a recommendation from the Personnel and Finance Committee, Finance and Personnel Committee, rather, for approval of the cost-sharing agreement with the Kankakee River Basin Commission, and that is that NERC, they pay NERC for certain services, and the services are outlined in the agreement, which is detailed on pages 15 through 17. And as I indicated before, the committee does recommend approval.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
It's been moved to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the agreement for cost sharing between the Kankakee Development Commission,
Kankakee River Basin.
River Basin Development Commission, and the Northwest Indiana Planning Commission. Is there any discussion on the motion? As many as in favor of the motion say yes. As many opposed say no. The yeses have it. The motion is approved. The agreement is adopted. Please proceed.
If I could, just as a point of information, Jody Melton is the staff person, the executive director for the Kankakee River Basin Commission, so I think all of you know best who he technically works for, but just thought I'd point that out.
Thank you, Joe. The next item is the approval of the Title VI plan, and we did in fact discuss this during the Finance and Personnel Committee, and we had an extensive overview. It is something that is required every 3 years pursuant to Title VI of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, and we are recommending that the Executive Board approve this plan. And it is included in its entirety in your packet, pages 18 through 70.
There's a favorable recommendation coming from the Finance and Personnel Committee. Is there a motion in favor of this resolution 1706?
Mr. Chair, also there are some pages that focus on the census tracts, and I do know that we have.
We have actually these to pass out, so
Yeah.
can I just send those down that way and then come back as they came?
So I wanted to make sure that everyone had an opportunity to see any of the pages. There was an issue with the lines in dark, but we do recommend it.
Is there readiness for a motion, one way or another, on resolution? It has been moved to approve 1706. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve 1706. As many as in favor say yes. As many opposed say no. The yeses have it. The motion is adopted. Resolution 1706 is approved. And I do ask the indulgence of my colleagues on the executive committee. I know I didn't ask for debate, but I heard in the voices of both the mover and the seconder willingness to move forward and some weariness, so I'm trying to make us excited. Oh, you are down there? I know you are. It's inside. You gotta,
We're voting aye instead of yes.
I see. Aye instead of yes.
Aye, that's good.
The next matter before your presentation.
The next matter is the procurement recommendation relative to the purchase of 7 acres of trees to mitigate the canopy loss from the emerald ash borer loss. And it's in conjunction with the Northwest Indiana Regional Urban Forestry EAB recovery. It is 100% federal funds that would be used for this purchase, and this procurement would allow us to set up a request for proposal and all of the things that would allow the members of NERC to access these dollars. And we do recommend approval of procurement number 17-04.01.
Thank you. It has been moved to approve this, and it's been seconded, both with verb. I thank you both. Is there any discussion on the motion?
Mr. Chairman,
Please.
how would this work? We've had a couple of our parks that were devastated by the event war. How does that work?
I can refer to Kathy.
Please, Ms. Luther, will you help us, please?
Yes, so the application for trees is actually on our website. If you go to NERC Environmental, there's a community tree. So the applications are there. In addition, there's a workshop scheduled on March 30th from 9 to 12 at the Lake County Soil and Water Conservation District. That information will also be on the website.
What's the date on that?
March 30th. And I know I need to send that to some people who specifically asked for it.
Is there a time, Kathy?
From 9 to noon.
Thank you.
And the idea being we will have 3 planting periods. We are going to have sort of extensive requirements for the community to be ready to take the trees and take care of them for a period of time. But the people who are ready now will get the first planting this spring, and then there's still time to get, that's what the workshop is for, to tell you what you have to have in place to manage the trees. So there'll be the fall planting will probably be the largest one. So please look at our website for that information. And then if you have further questions, you can contact Joe Axel on our site.
Where's the meeting going to be held at?
The Lake County Soil and Water Conservation District.
It's at the side of
Off the
the
top of my head.
Lake County, it's still at the side of the Lake County Administration Building. It's a new building that was erected in a parking lot. It's actually one of their Indiana Bicentennial Legacy projects. I probably told you more than you wanted to know. but
So it's in Crown Point.
It is in Crown
But the
Point.
trees are available for the entire region.
What's Joe's number?
His extension is 137.
And thank you.
Perhaps we could send out that information to the...
Yes, we will do that.
Thank
I
you.
think it was
Thank you for the question.
presented out here.
Anything further?
I was just going to say, it's a great program. I wish we did move forward 2 years ago and it was a 50-50 match.
Now it's 100%.
Yes.
Gee, I kind of like it now.
You know, for the first time in my entire history of Porter, we kind of took the lead and look what happened.
There you go.
But we're going to lead from the rear from now on.
If it led to this.
But there again, the local matches, you've got to plan it, so.
And
Well, we did, we had a plan too.
Yeah, okay.
We paid 50 and then had a plan to maintain.
I just wanted to add that this program has been funded through the U.S. Forest Service, the Great Lakes Restoration Initiative, which is also one of the items that is severely axed in this budget, so. Hopefully, we're hoping to get more later, we'll have to see what happens.
Thank you very much, Kathy, for that. And thank you, everyone. I detect readiness for the matter that has been moved and seconded to approve this procurement. As many as in favor of this procurement, in deference to my friend and colleague, Mr. Benson, say aye. Aye. As many opposed, say no. The ayes have it. The motion is adopted and the procurement is approved. Please
Here,
proceed.
here, here, here.
Here.
You wanted to do this.
I did, thank you.
On page 72, this is from our meeting last month. There is a proposed amendment to our 2017 budget. It is to add revenue totaling $28,000 for a transit feasibility study, transit planning feasibility study, and third-party match from the city of Portage. I'm sorry, the city of Hope. We're in Portage.
I just have a question. This is just adding revenue. Do you not need corresponding spending authority too?
We are adding the expense, if that's what you're asking to.
Yes.
Yes, we're adding, we're adding revenue and expenses. You're absolutely right, Mr. Chairman.
It's a habit of mine.
Yes, well,
I appreciate it very much. It is
I
a favorable
appreciate
recommendation coming from the Procurement and Budget Committee, Finance and Personnel Committee. Is there any readiness to offer a motion?
So moved.
It's been moved to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the budget amendment as presented. Is there any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, as many as in favor of adopting the motion, please signify by saying aye. Aye. As many opposed, say no. The ayes have it. The motion is adopted. The amendment is approved.
Mr. Chairman, the last item is the action on the corresponding contract for the feasibility study from the SRF Consulting Group that appears on page 73 and 74, and we have recommended approval of this agreement.
And this is the feasibility study for Hobart Transit.
That's
Very good.
correct.
That's the consultant fee. All right, thank you. This comes with a favorable recommendation. Is there readiness from the membership to make a motion?
Move to adopt.
It's been moved to adopt or approve. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to adopt or approve. Is there any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, as many as in favor say yes. Aye. As many opposed say no. The ayes and yeses have it. The motion is adopted and the agreement is approved.
And Mr. Chairman, if I could beg the chair's indulgence, I'm going to ask to be excused for a pressing matter, but before I go, I did send the budget, what's called the skinny budget, to Ms. Mary so that hopefully she can distribute to the other members. But, you know, I know that this will go through the legislative committee, but it, separate and apart from the areas that impact NERC, there is something that impacts every community in this group. And I would just urge us to be very, very proactive with the members of Congress that serve us here, but also throughout the state. Because, you know, if the budget is passed as proposed, and we know that won't happen, but if it even comes close, then we all stand to lose quite a bit, quite a bit.
I appreciate your words. We wish you traveling mercy on your way to where you're going. And if there's no objection, we certainly understand the commissioners need to absent yourself. The chair also discerns that it doesn't affect our ability to do business, that a quorum is still attained, and we will move forward. Thank you for your presentation this morning. The next person to recognize is Commissioner Jeff Benson, who will give our Environmental Management Policy Committee report.
Thank you. The approved minutes from our February meeting are on pages 75 and 76. Our next meeting is the first Thursday of April. And is Peg Donnelly going to come?
I'm confirming that right now.
Okay, so we will have a presentation by the EPA about how to get lead out of your drinking water, hopefully. And then so in this room at 9 o'clock on the first Thursday of each month. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Commissioner. Any questions of the Commissioner with regard to the report? Then we'll move forward, and thank you again for that. The Technical Planning Committee, it says here that I am listed to do the report. I know I saw Kevin Brightsky, who is here. Would you be willing to do that as the chair?
I would.
Thank you.
Thank you. I would like to
And
also, thank you, explain a little bit more about Eisenhower's highway bill. It's of interest locally because that was a defense bill. It was meant to move troop armament and tanks throughout the nation as expediently as possible. So that was the first step toward widening all of our highway right-of-way from 100 to 200 feet. And that's the remnant of what we have today. And in cases of 30, 65, we're grateful that that happened. Other highways, we'll explain why in your cities and towns, they have huge right-of-way. The other thing was in 1959, our communities had to prepare, and counties had to prepare master plans. And with that, thoroughfare plans that included these huge building setback lines of like 200 or more feet back. And by now, most of us have changed those, but you might want to be reflective, check those out in your current ordinances and bills to see if those remnants are still there. Everybody was patriotic and we wanted to do our duty. But I don't know if that is as necessary today.
It's probably widely known, we're getting off a little bit, it's probably widely known, that's why that every so many, whatever metrics they use, there has to be at least 1 mile of straight highway for airplane landings. And to accommodate that as well as part of that bill. I guess we put defense on it, we can get all kinds of stuff. How about to help Michael finish for more education, the Defense Act?
That was before vertical takeoff and landing helicopters, but we still need to land airplanes too. The Technical Planning Committee met Tuesday, March 14th, and we heard a presentation from Tina Rongers of Karner Blue regarding the well-educated people goals from the 2040 Comprehensive Regional Plan. Several objectives were discussed under these goals relating to One Region Indicators Report. Additional goals will be presented during upcoming TPC meetings this year and next. The committee also heard a presentation from South Shore Clean Cities about the Volkswagen settlement funds and how Northwest Indiana entities can take advantage of Indiana's $39 million share. For details, contact Lori Teagle of South Shore Clean Cities. At this time, NERC is working with Maryville and Hobart officials on a plan to create safe pathways for pedestrian and bicyclists at I-65 and US 30 interchange. Stephen Sesteri will explain how you can help out with this process after today's meeting.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. So you may have noticed when you came in that there were those nice boards out in the lobby with the little different colored dots. What we're doing as part of our US 30 I-65 safety study is we're doing a dot preference survey. So basically we have these general concepts and origin, destination, things like that, and we're looking for folks to kind of contribute to, you know, what you think would be best for that corridor, where you'd like to go, where you come from, things like that. So if you could take a moment after the meeting, I'll be out there, I'll be handing out dots. If you could stop by and just take a few minutes and do that if you haven't already. If you've been to, I know some of you have been to other meetings and you've already done it, thank you for that, and you're off the hook, you don't have to do it. But if you haven't done it yet, please take a moment and stop by and do it, because it'll definitely help. We've already done this, and we took a Saturday afternoon, did it in South Lake Mall. Got some great input there, and so now we're just sort of hitting folks as they come through here, because we know we get a lot of people through here too. So that'll be up after the meeting, and I'll be out there, and stop by, and be glad to help you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
It's painless and easy, it's just put stickers on some drawings. Please help them out. The public comment period has begun for an amendment on the 2040 Comprehensive Update Companion and the next 4-year Transportation Improvement Program. Mitch Barloga will provide an overview on our program.
Good morning.
Good morning.
You had a handout when you walked in this morning regarding this upcoming, actually now, in process 30-day public comment period regarding the update to our 2040 comprehensive. Thank you for monitoring that, Kevin. Appreciate that. We have several items under the public comment period. We have the update to our comprehensive regional update because of two major projects coming on board from NICD, the South Shore Line, the 25-mile double tracking project from Gary to Michigan City, and the 9-mile West Lake Corridor project between Hammond and Dyer. We are doing a couple of modifications as well that have been brought to us at request of INDOT. That is pushing the Iliana Expressway completion date from 2020 to 2040. This is in concert with what was previously done in Illinois in IDOT's work. And also INDOT is looking to drop the added travel lanes between State Route 2 and State Route 10 on I-65. So those are the major components of this 30-day period. For the details of the comment period, I bring back Stephen.
Okay, so you see there, hi everyone, it's been a while. You see there we have 5 dates with 6 meetings. They start next Tuesday, the 21st, in this room. And then there will be, we'll also be at the Hammond Civic Center on the 22nd. That's 2, we're gonna have 2 sessions there. The 28th in Munster, the 29th in Michigan City, and the 30th in Gary. So please come out to those. Additionally, you'll notice if you flip over, you can also leave comment with, as usual, with our comments email, our comments phone line, and of course the good old United States Postal Service. So this comment period will be going until, it started this Tuesday on the 14th, it will be going until April 13th, so next month. So that is the comment period, those are the meetings, and love to see you come on out. It's always nice to have commissioners come to the meetings, so thank you.
Thank you both very much.
There are 2 actions for consideration today. The first involves Resolution 1707, an update to the National Highway System. Scott Weber will explain his proposal.
Good morning. On pages 79 to 81, you'll see Resolution 1707. And the action requested here of you today is to recommend changes to the National Highway System in our region of Lake Porter and LaPorte counties. As you may have heard, MAP 21, which is the predecessor transportation bill for the FAST Act, automatically classified any link that was other principal arterial or higher as on the National Highway System, or the NHS. And INDOT has been leading a movement across the state to adhere more strictly to the original definition of the National Highway System as being major interregional routes that serve not only like around this region, but across the state of Indiana and across the country. So we have a few actions. The action today is to recommend changes to that National Highway System. In the chart on page 81, you'll see route names and the segments and what our request is. As you can see, most of the requests are removed from the National Highway System. Most of these were just automatically added in MAP 21 and 2012. And so we're finally getting back and we're looking through them closely and recommending these changes. And again, INDOT is working with everyone across the state to request these changes. There are some that we would recommend add to the National Highway System at the bottom of the chart there. And so those are roads that really do serve major intermodal facilities or facilitate travel around the state of Indiana and the country. So unless there's any questions, the recommendation, this went before the Transportation Technical Planning Committee on this Tuesday, and they gave a favorable recommendation. So be welcome to entertain any questions.
Thank you. So this comes with a favorable recommendation. It is now before the committee. Is there readiness to act on the resolution?
For the adoption of 1707.
It's been moved to adopt 1706. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to adopt Resolution 1706. Is there any further discussion? 1707, I beg the Commission's pardon. I beg the Commission's pardon for 1707. Is there any discussion on the matter? Hearing none, as many as in favor of adopting Resolution 1707 say aye. Aye. As many opposed say no. The ayes have it, the motion passes, and the resolution is adopted. Thank you very much.
Mr. Chairman, the next action for consideration is Resolution 1704, which everybody will find on pages 82 to 86 for packet. It's the 34th amendment to the fiscal year 2016 to 2019 Transportation Improvement Program. Gary Evers will explain this amendment.
Thank you, Kevin. This amendment makes miscellaneous changes, primarily the 2017 funded project. We're roughly 60 days ahead of closeout for the year. We are on the state fiscal cycle, and this is like November to us. So we've got a few changes here. Valparaiso is doing a switcheroo here. They're advancing a project from 2022 into 2018 and delaying a similar project from 2018 into 2022. The balance of the changes shown on the first page are coming out of LaPorte County. These are changes that their T-ROC committee indicated was needed and reached consensus on in order to close out the federal funds in that particular urbanized area. The next page, the town of Lowell, we have adjusted the funding for their federal aid project for sign replacement and moved in some of our Section 164 penalty money. Section 160, some of INDOT's funding is sequestered into what they call Section 164, which refers to the 23 USC. Indiana has non-compliant penalties for open container and driving under that influence laws. They've been after the incentive for states to do what the feds say is to pass compliant laws, and they have yet to do so. So I don't know any more than that, but we get a certain amount of our funding, in this case about $650,000 a year in highway safety money that requires no match. And we are using what is the last chunk of that money on this Lowell sign project, and that will save the town approximately $14,000. We are increasing funding for City of LaPorte's propane fuel purchase. We are increasing the award for a intersection improvement project for the city of Portage and Little Creek and Central Avenue on the right-of-way phase, adding funding to the town of Chesterton for environmental mitigation associated with a trail project they're constructing near Chesterton High School, and finally advancing a project in Hillsburg for the purchase of alternative fuels. We are deleting 3 projects from the TIP. One of them is a permanent deletion, meaning it will not be the city of Michigan City. The second one here has opted not to implement this project, so it is gone forever. But the other 2 are simply being delayed to a point in time beyond 2019. The amendment was subjected to a 7-day public comment period. It was reviewed by the Interagency Consultation Group for Equality and was, as Mr. Britsky indicated, was approved by TechDC. Would ask for your approval.
Thank you, Gary.
Did this come as a favorable recommendation? Did I gather that?
It is, Mr. Chair.
I thank you, Mr. Britsky. Then the matter before us is consideration of 1704 as a resolution to adopt and amend our TIP. Is there any action? What is the pleasure of the commission?
Move to approve.
There's been a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve resolution 1704. Is there any discussion on the matter? Hearing none, as many as in favor of adoption or passage of the resolution 1704 should signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed should signify by saying no. The ayes have it, the motion passes, and the resolution is adopted. I thank you, Mr. Britsky. I appreciate you being here, and I thank everyone who participated from staff as well.
I'd like just to announce the next meeting date of the Technical Planning Committee will be Tuesday, April 11th, a.m. Everybody's welcome.
Thank you for that again. I appreciate your service there and your leadership as well. And speaking of leadership, I now want to call and recognize Blair Milo, the mayor of the Hub of Awesome in LaPorte, as the legislative committee chair.
Thank you for that outstanding introduction. Correct application of our city motto. The legislative committee has been, I think, continuing to track a number of the activities going on at the federal and state level. From a federal perspective, we had a great conference in Washington, D.C. as a part of the National Association of Regional Councils. We were there in February. I think there was probably some follow-up that I was still out in D.C. when we had our last meeting. But really good meetings with our delegation from this region. And since that time, we've had some improvements, some movement on the MPO coordination rule that was the bill was brought forward in, I think, the Senate and the House, and to eliminate the coordination rule that has been so challenging. Very thankful to Indiana Senator Todd Young, who co-sponsored the bill in the Senate, and so there is, I think, pretty strong momentum. I don't think they've passed it at this point. Did they just pass it?
Senate
The Senate passed it, but it hasn't been fully passed yet. But there is a similar bill in the House that's moving, so we do anticipate that the detrimental MPO coordination rule, I think it's due to be short-lived, would be my guess off of that. So good conversations and now results that have come from that. From a state perspective, continuing to track the work that's going on for the opportunities for long-term road funding, that there's a lot of great conversation happening at the State House. The House passed House Bill 1002, which is now on the Senate side. I had the opportunity to testify before the State Senate Tax and Fiscal Policy Committee on Tuesday this week and talk about the impact of the Community Crossings Program and the federal swap rule or concept that is being brought forward that's in House Bill 1002 that I think is a great opportunity for communities to better leverage some of those funding opportunities. And a lot of great conversation that happened there. I know that they're continuing to discuss all the different tools and concepts on the Senate side now. And then the other area that we've been tracking as well is the double tracking that is being brought forward by the South Shore, and the House also passed a bill, I think it's 1144, that includes some language about transportation development districts that then would be associated with the double tracking, and there's continued work on that bill and discussions as to how all of the different entities would participate in the South Shore double tracking initiative. There is still great momentum for moving this forward, and just a lot of deliberation on how the construct works for all of the 4 counties to participate in this initiative overall. I think the transportation development districts is a great discussion and concept that's been included with this as well, that it looks at the entire TOD concept, so it's not just the double tracking, but also looking at some of the station areas and the growth and economic development opportunities that come around those stations, recognizing the value that transportation provides to those different areas, and thus the TOD concept. So all of those things, I think, are having great discussion. We're continuing to be involved in those conversations. I think that we're still in the process of determining who's all participating in which committees, so I would highly encourage anyone who is interested in being involved in any of these conversations to please come join the legislative committee. And I think we'll end up, based off of Mayor Freeman Wilson's remarks earlier and some conversations I've had with Mr. Benson as well, that we'll certainly be having some conversations about the federal budget and having to take a deeper dive into that than we may previously have. And I would welcome the engagement and participation of anyone on the commission who wants to be a part of those conversations, and we'll have great discussion.
Just to echo that, as I said at the opening, we have now made the committee assignments, but if you'd like to be added to that, you're absolutely welcome to do that. The more voices in the legislative committee, the better. You get a higher degree or a higher quality decision when that's made. But you remain our chair, and Commissioner McDermott is the vice chair. So we encourage you when those meetings are held to be there. They're spirited often, and we learn a great deal. And I echo the chair's comment about, in light of what we've just learned about the first proposed budget from the federal level, that we'll probably have a lot to say about that, or we'll be opining a great deal about. Is there anything further today?
I think that concludes my report.
And thank you for that very, very much. Hi there, Mr. Powers.
Hello, Mr. Chairman.
The person who's here from NDOT. Will you please present, dilate, and inform?
I just gotta say I love this guy. I was way out there, I was just like, okay, all professional. It's like, I just love this guy. I handle it well.
Just thank you for the song. Yeah.
So going back to the Eisenhower Act, you all know I'm an old jarhead.
All right.
There are actually 2 fictional aircraft, the Osprey and the Harrier, so just a little factoid there. All about helicopters.
That are assigned to the
I don't think they were thinking of infrastructure in the interstate.
Not for the
development. I got to write on the prototype for the Osprey, which wasn't fun, but that being said, I'll move on to NDOT type matters now. So you knew about the wire theft. I think I've tried to keep you abreast of where we are at stop to a degree. I would say stop. We haven't seen or experienced any further theft on our systems over the last month or so. However, we've heard that it's occurring in locals areas now and a couple of areas on the toll road. So we're still there. Again, I wish no ill will to anyone, but I keep saying I hope this person doesn't get hurt before they get caught. We're talking high voltage things that will kill you. And if somehow this gets out to that individual, maybe they will wise up and not touch it the wrong way. Again, I hope they don't get hurt before they get caught, but I hope they get caught soon. That being said, also, I think I may have covered this at the last meeting with Mr. Nowicki. I don't believe we were here. We checked the stretch of roads. I believe I told
think I reported last meeting that Mr. Wilkie walked to Indianapolis. We had scheduled refreshing of the paint in that area, and I told you we had some paint areas, and some of that was rumble strip related, but I think we discussed that briefly. And I saw again at Road School here recently, the new design for rumble strip, if you will. It is more of a wave design than an abrupt break, where we think we're losing some visibility in paint, and that it drops into the cavity and you don't see it at night. With the wave design, we believe you'll see greater visibility. So I hope that comes forward. Again, I don't have the technical side here with me, but that being said, we're far more responsive now, I'd say, in the traffic area, the signage, and just we had some leadership switch around here. And you're probably seeing that area of paint and signage a little more responsive than they had been in the past. So I'm very happy about that. And also, Lindsay Quist, who normally comes, our capital program director, is back from maternity leave, which I'm very happy to see. She is an amazing asset to us and all of us here. I think that's all I have for updates, unless any of you have questions for me.
I did, after he brought that up, I went out there and looked at the rumble strips, and I saw that the paint is to the left of the rumble strips everywhere I look.
We try, and again, I think I brought that up when Mr. Nowicki brought it up. We try, if pavement allows for lane width, to stay to one side or the other for that very reason. But again, a valid point, Mr. Nowicki, I just want to let you know. We have it scheduled, I believe Matt told me to check with staff. We've actually advanced that area for the spring to refresh first. So just wanted to let you know, you weren't here at the last meeting, so that's all I have.
Yes, please.
I just wanted to thank you and Matt for your responsiveness for our problems when we ran out of signs for the high water after that torrential rain. So thank you very much. It was a big help.
Thank you, Deputy Commissioner Powers. It's always good to have you here.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
We're now at the point in the agenda for other business. Is there any other business that wishes to be raised from members of the panel? Seeing none, we're now at the point for public comment. Pursuant to the policy of the Northwest Indiana Regional Planning Commission and our participatory policy, we require a sign-in. We have one sign-in, eminent citizen Jim Nowacki of Gary, Indiana, to speak on the topic of INDOT. Mr. Nowacki, welcome, and you are recognized to speak.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. My name is Jim Nowacki. I'm a resident of the city of Gary, and I would add to comments made earlier regarding the federal interstate system. It was actually a product of the fascist Nazis in Germany that was incorporated in the United States. We've, of course, seeing a drift since the 50s, getting closer and closer to what would be easily identified as a fascist state if you consider that one of the hallmarks is outsized projects, no human scale. And I say that because I wanted to comment on the boards that you had put out in front regarding the I-65 Route 30 and the plans. And the one thing you'll notice is these outsized scaled projects, way more than would be required. I would make a suggestion, and I hope Mr. Powers will consider this, that as someone who walks not only through Northwest Indiana, but also does a lot of walking along Route 30. I would anecdotally mention that I spoke with another Gary resident who walks that, who does some walking on Route 30 as she does shopping. She actually got ticketed and had to pay a ticket for walking along the side of the road. She was off the roadway, but still was stopped by a state trooper and given a ticket for walking on that. Rather than planning for the I-65 Route 30 project, and I'm making this as a suggestion, rather than planning that project, really what we have to do is we have to start with a simple project, like for instance, just putting sidewalks along the road. You'll then find the traffic patterns that people use. I'm Mr. Powers, and I don't think anyone in this room walks that area, except perhaps me, and I understand my traffic pattern, but I see very few walkers along that because you might get a ticket, or it's just, you feel like a vagrant if you're walking there now. So what I would suggest and I think it's a small idea coming from, that may be considered, is if you start with putting in sidewalks. In other words, not all the signage, not all the red and green dots, not all of the overpasses and all the rest of that. If you put in an inexpensive sidewalk where you would kind of think they might belong, you'll find, number one, how people are using that route, rather than trying to impose your plan on the intersection. Use human scale. Put in a sidewalk. Allow humans who are using who are actually using pedestrians who are using it, and see how they use it. So the idea would be this: rather than an expensive plan, rather than an expensive failed plan, start with something that's simple, start with something that has immediate use for pedestrians and other non-motorized transportation, and then use that as the basis for expanding and making improvements on that. But there's so many places where we've dropped the ball. I'm not going to complain about Gary today, but I have to tell you that the way the sidewalks were put in was so poor, the way that signaling and all the rest is so poor. I just don't trust you to spend a lot of money and then find out that nobody uses it that way. And certainly, you're not going to ask my opinion, but the designers, all of the consultants, etc., and all the big plans, and in the end, doesn't serve the actual people who are going to be using that investment. So that's my humble suggestion, and I hope it'll be considered. And I'm not worried about a fascist state. I'm not worried about it. I don't comment on the national government generally, but surely anyone who's looking can see and read the writing on the wall. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments, Mr. Nowacki, very much. Thank you. I'll only say this: regardless of the polity that was post-Weimar Republic Germany, the Autobahn is a blast. So just saying. And that's what informed Eisenhower's dream for us. So there it is. Is there any further comment to be offered today? How about staff announcements? Please.
In addition to the tree workshop that I mentioned earlier, we are working with South Shore Clean Cities, who's our Green Fleet contractor, and hosting a meeting/workshop on the afternoon here, March 29th, to bring everybody together to have a regional response to the VW settlement. So those monies, projects that will be eligible, any diesel engine, it could be a generator, it could be construction equipment, it could be buses, it could be private industry, logistic type of stuff. So we want to put together, it could be construction. Anyway, so we want to have kind of a regional response. We are non-attainment. We think we should have a good, if we work together, we can put in a great application to IDEM. So March 29th here.
What's the time of that, please?
1 or 1:30. Stay tuned for.
Thank you. We'll get further information about it.
Yes.
Thank you. Any other announcements? Thank you. I was hoping you'd say something, Mr. Carnahan.
Yes, as always, the Cedar Lake Chamber of Commerce presents their 5th annual Business and Organization Showcase, where business and residents connect. Saturday, March 18th, from 11 to 3 at the Hanover Central High School Field House, located at 10120 West 133rd Avenue in Cedar Lake. Free admission open to the public, and somebody will win a 32-inch flat screen TV.
Nice. Thank you. Really. Thank you very much. Is there any further announcements to share this morning? Well, having then completed the agenda and there being no further business to come before the executive committee, we stand adjourned.